Welcome, everyone. It's time to start. It's time to begin. Welcome to Unlock Master Level Communication Skills. Thanks for joining me. I want to say hello to Tommaso. Tom from New York is going to be our chat moderator. You want to say hello, Tom? Let's get started by all means. My name is Matteo. I'm connecting from the vicinity of Berlin. If you were watching the video, you just noticed that it's strangely sunny outside here right now. And I'm very, very happy that you're joining me today. And I have a question to start us off. And that question is, when I say storytelling, what comes to mind? What is the first words? What is the first associations that come to mind when I say storytelling? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let's start using the chat because that's the best way for us to keep connected and to make this a live interactive event. There is a live component here. This is not a slide presentation. This is not a video. You can influence whatever happens during this live stream. Thank you. Some fun, impactful, narrative, message. Unnatural. How can we make it natural? Something positive. Why not? And transformation, narrative, message. Spot on, Gary. This is exactly what we're going to talk about today. You're definitely going to be enjoying the webinar today. So just a little technical note, if you are joining on the live stream, we're actually live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. But if you are specifically on Zoom, I propose you the Zoom dilemma. What is the Zoom dilemma? So up and to the right, you have a little menu that says view. Okay, in this menu, you can choose between different options. You can choose speaker, so you can see my slide really big and my video really big. I'm not going to be screen sharing. These are the slides actually for today. Or you can choose the gallery view. Now, gallery view allows you to see all of the beautiful interiors and faces of all the participants of the webinar. What is best? I don't know. It's a dilemma. It's for you to decide. Okay. I love gallery view. And honestly, I don't care about my slides. I care about you seeing each other and interacting with each other and participating actively. And so I think that's all that matters. But in case there's some information on my slides that you want to see really big, then go to speaker view. Is that all right? Okay, and now I have a very special thing that I want to ask you because I always forget this. I run these webinars and at the end I have zero nice documentation and I forget about many things. One of the things that I forget about is recording. and and now let's start the recording, and not only the live streaming but also the recording. And now I want to ask you to switch on all your cameras so that I can take a really nice picture of all of you. And so great, I see you all switching those cameras on more, because my screen is not filled in yet, so it would look like a bad picture right now. So I see there's obviously, if it's safe to do where you are, I'd love to see more cameras, at least two more, because then it would fill a row. How about that? Yes, one. Hello there. I recognize the person in the background. That's perfect. And now please, let's all smile. And there you go. Thank you so much. I take a second one just for safety. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's terrific to see all of you here. I don't even know how many of you are here. Let me. Oh, Zoom says 27, and then we'll have a bunch connecting on the other platform. So welcome. Let's get going. And I will be your communication coach for the next hour. can I coach you for the next hour? Can I help you with your communication? Do I have your permission to do that? I would love to hear it from you, and I would love to be with you, be useful for you, help you reach your goals for the next hour. So thank you for granting me permission. Let's get started. I'm going to be your coach, but I'm not your typical coach. If you have seen this brilliant show, Ted Lasso, you will know that I'm not the typical square-jawed, military background, Harvard kind of coach. I'm a different coach, and I'm a different coach for very many reasons. I'm a storytelling coach, most of all, so it's one of the most unusual types of coaches. But also, I am an introvert. So I spend my days on stage, on screen, yet from the point of view of an introvert. So still for me, this is a super energizing moment, but I recharge my batteries when I'm alone. And then I always had the feeling that I didn't quite fit in. There was always something, people in the mainstream were always somebody else, not me. And then I realized early on in my life that I was queer. And at the time, I was an adolescent and I didn't want everybody to know. And so I started developing two ways of communicating, one where I would reveal it and one where I would hide it. And that made things more complicated. And finally, as a kid, when I was 4 years old, I discovered computers. And that made me a total nerd, which is quite popular right now, but it used to be quite unpopular back then. And I myself have been suffering from a lot of the issues with communication. Actually, this is why I became a communication coach, because I had social anxiety. I had the feeling that I didn't quite belong. And what did I do? I dealt it and I used storytelling. I used this ability to narrow down your message, to find what is my message, what is my value. And then I found the courage to take this role. It's not easy to say, introduce yourself and just say, I'm a storytelling coach, because I know that I'm so much more than that, right? How could I say just this part of me? How could I reveal just this part of me? Instead, I take enormous pleasure today in not having this social anxiety and being able to say, for today, in this context, for you, I'm just your storytelling coach, and please take advantage of it. Ask questions, make it as useful as possible for you. And then I dealt for the longest time with imposter syndrome, with this feeling that I knew a little bit, but not enough. Not enough to really bring value, not enough to really be like the others, right? And I suffered from this also in the realm of presentation, public speaking, and storytelling, which is my specialty. And I thought, not good enough. I'm not good enough with that. And what I did is at some point, I gave myself permission to start helping literally you, because some of you are my clients, and helping you in general. And what happened is that I started seeing the transformation that was happening through the storytelling skills that I was bringing. And that was the perfect antidote for this imposter syndrome. I also dealt with getting emotional. A lot of times my symptoms was going blank, not knowing what was next. Okay, and it might differ. You might be going in circles or going in loops, having trouble maybe with your breathing or stumbling on words. There's so many symptoms of getting emotional. And I stopped giving other people power over my emotions. I realized that when I was getting emotional, it was just because I attributed an enormous power to the audience that I had in front. And I just took this power back. That's all I did. And then I suffered from fear of public speaking, so fear of what I'm doing right now. And what I did for this is that I tried and tried and tried and tried, and then I made it my everyday job. I made it my job day in and day out. And that's how I solved it. I solved it by knowing exactly what to say, exactly how to say it, and then exercising this public speaking every day. And now there are some days where I don't act as a public speaker, I just act as a coach, but the stage is my office. And it's super empowering to be able to use the stage as your office. Now, today you are witnessing a pretty special day because this is sort of the coming together of 2 decades. Actually, it's 22 years studying storytelling and over a decade teaching storytelling. And today, there's something really special that I want to talk to you about. And this all started 22 years ago when I found myself in a very strange position. Now, 22 years ago, a person that is very dear to my heart and that is on this call told me, um, dial this number, go to this job interview, don't ask questions, trust me. And you know who you are. And I dialed the phone, I went to the interview, and I got the job, and I found myself in this position. I never expected to become a story analyst. I never expected in my whole life to have to deal with scripts and screenwriting. And I trusted you, and I'm happy that I trusted you then, and I'm happy to have you on the call today. But I started this job. I had no knowledge at all. What is a good story? What makes it? I like movies. Okay, there's movies I like. There's movie I don't like. I guess it's fair. It's something that happens to all of us. But how can you discern what a good movie, what a good story is, and what a bad story is? And so I started reading these very books. I have some of those actually here with me. And the scripts that I was reading were not as cool as what you actually see here. And I discovered something. I discovered that there is a blueprint to engaging, persuasive, and clear communication that everybody can use. And I discovered this because right after having this very odd job for which I wasn't a great talent, I went into a more corporate job at the same company. This was a major Hollywood company, so I wasn't reading scripts for a nobody. I was reading scripts for a very important brand. I discovered that the same principles that I spent 2 years studying as a story analyst applied everywhere. And this allowed me to have my dream job today. This allowed me to be a coach, a trainer, a facilitator, to work with large groups, to hold large webinars like we're holding today, to work one-on-one, which is one of my favorite ways of working, empowering individuals on their journey to excellence in communication, working as a facilitator, holding workshops, having groups of people working together, and sometimes even training. It's very unpopular. There's no such thing anymore as pure training. We want something more, but that's also a part of my job. And the beauty is that there's so many amazing, incredible companies that trust me. There's so many that don't fit in my screen, so I'm relegated here in the corner. And I want to point out here on this slide, there's some traditional corporates like Heineken, ING, and they use storytelling to make change inside the organization. And then there's storytelling companies, like amazing storytelling companies like Netflix here, okay? They leverage storytelling as a brand. And then there's startups and scale-ups like LinkedIn or Vinted and media companies like Arte, but Notice down there in the middle, there's something called Max Delbrück Center, and I have just listed that, but there's many other scientific institutions, research institutes, and universities, especially in the sciences, that call me and tell me we need storytelling to talk about complex stuff, to talk about research, to talk about medicines, to talk about treatments, and so on. And I work with doctors, with pharma companies. There's so many that literally don't fit in this slide. And today, I would like for you to go from invisible to being seen, to being on the outside looking in, to having an actual seat at the table, and to go from being underestimated to being respected. Because I believe that communicating fluently is the key to unlock your full potential. Now, how do you unlock your full potential? I think that the best way is to be selfish. So when I talk about storytelling, I would like you to think about your communication skills issues. Think about your challenges. Think about the next important presentation in front of you. Think about what is happening at work or at home. Where is it that you need to have that difficult conversation? I would love for you to think, to focus on that. And I have a question for you. So, is it okay if in parallel, while I give you my 3 huge lessons on storytelling, I also give you an offer, because this is a very special day. This is the first time that I talk publicly about something that has been in the making for the past 6 months. And for anybody who knows me more personally that is on this call, is one of the reasons why maybe I was not that present in your lives in the past 6 months, because I've been focusing on an amazing project and I really would love to present it to you. So I'll take a second to look at the chat, and I'm really asking for your permission. So please say yes in the chat if you believe that you would love to hear what I have to say on storytelling, and if I have permission to also extend an offer, extend a very, very special invitation to something new and amazing that has been cooking in the past few months. Wonderful. I see some of you using the chat. I invite all of you to use the chat, because this is where you bring yourself into this live event. This is where you will also bring your questions. Now we're going to have a look at how we are going to use the time together. That's really important. So we will have this first moment where I want to share with you 3 huge life-changing lessons that I've learned about storytelling. Then I want to talk to you about this offer. Then I have something really special for you, and just for you. And finally, we'll have time for Q&A. Now, in an ideal world, I would just skip the Q&A, because I'm sure that your questions are super interesting, and I would like to invite you to start thinking about your questions right now. And if you want, you can also start listing them in the chat, and Tom will take care that we get to all your questions at the end. All right? And again, take notes. Think about, while I talk about storytelling, think about what is upcoming in your lives and what is it that you are struggling with. And let's get on with the 3 huge lessons that I have in store for you. So the first lesson is really something that we've all experienced, I think, but the conclusion is not what you expect. Now, I get in contact with a lot of people that are struggling, and they're struggling with being scared, being anxious, feeling unprepared when they're communicating. And I wonder, what is keeping us from giving our best when the lights are upon us? What is holding us back? Now, what is it that we have to deal with? We have to deal with social anxiety. We talked about it before. Imposter syndrome, blanking out, getting overly emotional. And then the biggest fear of them all, fear of public speaking. Now, what do all these things have in common? What do you think these things have in common? I'm curious to hear what your theory is, and then I will reveal the theory that I hold. There is a common thread, okay? Social anxiety, imposter syndrome, blanking out, getting emotional, getting fearful, dealing with the unknown, right? Fear of judgment. There's a lot of things that are boiling inside of us in those moments where the lights of the stage are illuminating us. And where do the fear of making mistakes, where do they come from? This lack of confidence. It all comes from one special place. And it's not this galaxy where I'm floating, it's actually our brain, and specifically our ego. Okay, let me get out of this galaxy so that you can actually see me. What happens when we get on stage? Well, what happens is that we get focused on our performance. I need to be great. I need to find the right words. I need to dress in the right way. I need to make a good impression. I need to make an impact. I need to advance my career. I need to persuade everyone. I must, I need. I set up such huge expectations that all that I can do is fail. We just make it about us. That's the issue. That's exactly the issue. Now, what is the opposite of this? What is the polar opposite of being anxious, of being worried, of being concerned, of being stuck in your head? It just occurred to me a few months ago that the opposite of this is the concept of flow, is the state of flow. Now, this wonderful gentleman next to me is called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and is a Hungarian psychologist with the hardest to pronounce name in the world. And they also have done a bunch of research on this idea of flow or the optimum experience. Have you heard of flow before? Tell me in the chat yes or no if you have heard of flow before. I'm curious. Yeah. So it's a pretty common thing, flow, but let's define it for in case anybody hasn't heard of flow. So flow is that state where you are feeling challenged by an activity. It's a hard enough activity. It's an activity that is posing a challenge, but it's not blocking us. It's not a challenge so hard that it's not allowing us to enjoy it. So it's like a problem that we like. It's sort of a state that we get if we are, for instance, tackling a hobby, right? What is a hobby? Hobby is problems that we enjoy solving. And it's something that happens all the time whenever, for instance, we are doing certain kind of sports. If you experience a state of flow, you know it because you forget about yourself. Oftentimes you forget about meals. You don't remember, you don't realize that you're hungry. You don't realize that you have to go to the bathroom because you're so um, immersed into this activity. And it just occurred to me, flow is the opposite of anxiety, and great communicators are in a state of enjoyment and flow when they talk to you. And this is something to strive to. This is the aspiration of great communication, is to abandon the anxiety and start a journey in the direction of the opposite of anxiety, that is a state of flow. Now let's go to the huge lesson number 2. Now, today I want to talk to you about a framework. It's a framework for business storytelling. But my question is it a new framework? Is it really a new framework? And do we need a new framework? Now, let me ask you this other question. Who of you are using stories in their personal lives, but not at work? So, who of you is, for instance, have children and they're telling bedtime stories, and they must be good at telling. You must be good at telling bedtime stories because your kids actually fall asleep at some point. But then when it comes to going to work, no, 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 I'm not a storyteller. No, no, I'm not a communicator. I don't communicate. Let me know in the chat. I'm sure there's a lot of you who, for instance, entertain your friends telling jokes. But no, these don't belong at work, and they're not about storytelling. They're not about communication, right? You might find yourself in this other situation here, connected to the show Severance. This is a little bit niche, and I know that not a lot of you have seen Severance. If you have, please let me know in the chat. I'm really curious. But the plot of Severance is pretty mind-bending because the characters in Severance go through a procedure so that they have a different brain for work, and then everything that happens at work they don't remember when they go home, and vice versa. And they don't remember their personal lives when they are at work. And this is what happens with storytelling. I don't understand why deeply, but this is what happens in companies everywhere, is that we forget. And sometimes I hear this, business storytelling sounds nice. Maybe we might need it for that meeting, or we might need it when we talk to that customer, but it's not about us. It doesn't speak to us. We have a more complicated topic. We are more fact-based. Doesn't apply. And in reality, I'm sorry to tell you, it does apply. Because I have been working specifically with business storytelling in many different concepts. In, for instance, with scientists and with academics, they are asking for storytelling advice all the time that they have to communicate something complex. And then with startups and scale-ups, I was just yesterday in Berlin at a startup event, and I was there as a proud parent, because one of the startups that was on stage, two of the startups that were on stage, had been coached by me, and one of them had such a terrific pitch during the small conference, and I can see what the difference is if you thought about your slides and your visuals and your story from a business storytelling perspective, or you haven't. And then small businesses aren't many very very different from startups. They also need storytelling in the same way that big corporates need to leverage storytelling a lot of times, just because they have to persuade internally and externally about important change. And let's not forget that a lot of my work comes from agencies and freelancers who are working the hardest to leverage storytelling to position themselves, oftentimes in a super crowded, super complicated market. Let's get to the big lesson number 3. Now, what's better in terms of communication right now? Is it better that I give you lots, or that you get lots from me? Or is it better that I'm focused on the I must, I shall, I should? Is it better that I'm stuck in my head, or that I'm thriving by communicating and getting into your heads? Well, the biggest mistake that we all do is to start from our message. Oh, I have a message, they need to hear it. But rather, what we need to do, what we must do when we communicate, is we need to flip the perspective. We need to go the other way around. And we need to start thinking with the minds, the hearts, and the eyes of our audience. You are an audience right now. So this is a perfect time for me to demonstrate this. Now you are an audience and you are voting with your time to spend it with me. Spend time. It's like spending money, right? It's the same kind of currency. So how come are you spending time with me? Um, well, I know why. Because there is a question that you have been asking yourselves at the beginning of this presentation, and hopefully by now I've given an answer to you. And this question is, what's in it for me? I always formulate this from the first person. What's in it for me? You have to think that you have audience members, the people that are in front of you, and they are asking themselves, what's in it for me? What does it mean in practical terms? In practical terms, people are looking for something specific, and we are all looking for the same few things in our interactions. So the first thing we are looking for is connection. We want to feel as a group. We want to do things together. We want to feel that we have a bond because we want to feel that we belong. We belong to a group, we belong to a tribe, we belong to this temporary universe where we have this webinar together. And then we want something that makes time, that saves us time. It's our most precious resource. So for instance, if business storytelling shortens the time that is needed for you to create a presentation, you might want that. And then we want to save money and make more money. We are very motivated by money. Our system runs around money, and we are interested in that, consciously or subconsciously. And then we're looking for status, and don't think about status as in terms of boasting or showing a mega yacht as status, but sometimes status is showing off what we know and how we say the things we say. And finally, we are looking for peace of mind. We are looking to avoid anxiety, to avoid dealing with fear of public speaking. And in general, we are looking for the things that make us sleep better, makes us have a more quiet night, right? And so what your role is, what your job is quite simply you are on a bicycle, and here there is your audience on their bicycle. Your audience is on the path of their life. They're going their way. And your job is to ride the bicycle next to them and maybe ring the bell, ding ding. And if your audience is interested, they will acknowledge you and they will say hello, hello. And if they're interested, they might propose to stop for a coffee. That's the job of great communication. The job of great communication is to encounter your audience on the path of their life. This is my third lesson. Now I want to get you a little bit more involved, and I want to ask you something a little bit scary. So imagine that these are the lights of the stage. You're about to go live. You're about to step on stage. How are you feeling? How does it feel? Do you feel uneasy or do you feel confident, settled? Let me know through the chat. So the scenario is your presentation is about to begin. Nobody's feeling confident. My heart is pounding. There's tension. There's butterflies. We feel uneasy. We need a system. We need to get out of this. We need another way. Excited but scared. That's better, Bea. I'm glad you feel that way. You've been on a few stages recently. I've been following you. That's a great trajectory what you have there. We get confused, we get flustered, we get emotional. The heart pounding. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. Let me tell you about what I believe is the best way out of this uneasy, scared, confused feeling. And that is to have a framework. We have so many frameworks today for everything, and we don't have frameworks for communication. And this is why today is the first time that I talk publicly about my 8+8 business storytelling framework. What is it about? What is it? Well, there's 8 steps behind the scenes where we prepare our communication, and there's 8 steps center stage where we actually deliver our communication. And it looks something like this. So the first step we need to do to get out of our heads and not get stuck in the I, is to start developing audience personas. And I just went through on Tuesday with this process, defining, for instance, the audience for a webinar as part actually of what I'm going to tell you in a second about as part of the group coaching program. And what happened just by asking ourselves, this group, what kind of things do they fear the most? And this group, what kind of hopes do they have the most? We had insight after insight after insight after insight. Now, you might be familiar with creating personas already because maybe you work in marketing or in design. This process is very, very similar to all of those marketing and design processes. We want to understand what these people do at home, what kind of family they have, in what kind of area of town do they live, what do they do as a hobby, how do they like to spend their time. If we don't know that, we can imagine that, we can create with our imagination. And then we want to try to understand who they are at work. Not just the title, Vice President of Marketing. We want to know, are they analytical? Are they a people's person? Are they a vision person? Are they bringing their fandom for sports and for teamwork into the office? Are they loners? Are they shy? Are they connected? We want to know all of these things about our personas. And then we want to try to distill their core values. And the best way to distill the core values of a person or of a group is to really start thinking about what is it that they fear and what is it that they hope. Now, our objective is to define 2 states. There is a before and an after. What do I mean? Storytelling is about transformation. So if I tell you that it's sunny outside, you can see a little bit of sun there. That's just information. And the forecast says that it's cloudy tomorrow. Again, information. And we're going to have a Q&A in a second. Information. We use storytelling when we want to make a change, when we want it to be a before and after. And the framework helps you to stop before you start writing, before you start creating slides, and stop and think about the before and the after. And then, and this is the part that is the most fun, is climbing a storytelling mountain. Now, what I did is I distilled everything that I know and that there is to know on storytelling, and then I translated into business speak. So never in my storytelling courses and in sessions, I have to go back to the traditional way of talking about storytelling, like the 3-act structure and so on and so forth, because everything is translated into what needs to be happening in the conference room, in the meeting room, in the panel. And this structure guides you step by step into building your message and dealing with the 2 most important things that are change and the resistance that comes from that change. Now, today we don't have the time to go through all of this, And actually, this is why I've invited you. But a few of you here on this call have gone through this journey, and you know how insightful it is to start thinking strategically about what you need to say. And once you know what you need to say, everything starts falling into place. The insecurities start falling into place. And you especially know that resistance, pushback, are part of good communication. They are not the enemy of communication, they're actually your ally. And once you discover that you can leverage the fact that we all have a different reaction to being changed, you discover that you have a superpower. Let me let's reflect on a sec for a second on this. Did you wake up this morning thinking, I really want somebody to change my mind? Did anybody wake up this way, like thinking, yeah, I want to somebody to change, what I believe about politics, what I believe about work? No, we don't. We want to go to bed exactly as we are in the morning. This is why we need storytelling, because we need to persuade and convince, and this convincing face always faces resistance. Right. So I'm curious, at this point, are you interested in overcoming those fears, those uneasiness, this feeling butterflies, feeling tension? And do you wanna learn how to speak up? Let me know. I'm curious to hear that. Yes, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you're interested in knowing more. We are going to we're going to head into Q&A, but first there's the offer and there's something special, and then we're gonna head to the Q&A part. So yeah, if you were in a state of flow, okay, out of your head and getting into this state of an optimal experiences. And if you applied storytelling not just at home, but also at the office, also at conferences, and if you got out of your heads and into the heads of your audience, do you believe that you would be great communicators? You would be great at communicating? I certainly believe so, and I can't wait to get you there. This was a lot, and there would be so much more to cover on this. Actually, on this topic, I can talk without any time limit. So if anybody wants to do a 24-hour webinar on storytelling, I'm up because I have unlimited material. Yeah, but we can't. And therefore, now is the time for decisions. Now, there's a fork in the road, and there's one path, and one path is, you heard it from me. You heard that storytelling is really, really powerful, and you can start learning storytelling on your own terms. And what I would suggest to start with The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell. It's not a big book. It's a really interesting read, and it's something that would get you right on the journey. And then you can go through trial and error. Another book that you really have to read is the Robert McKee story. Now, I went to the story seminar. Actually, Robert McKee does a very famous seminar. It's actually even part of a movie. And funny story, I even met Tim Ferriss at this seminar as he was thinking about storytelling for his own books and eventually for the podcast. And I got a coffee with Tim Ferriss. So it's actually a really interesting journey that you can go on. You know what the problem is? It takes a lot of time, takes a bunch of time, and it's lonely. I've been on this journey. I've been on this journey on my own for 10 years. I haven't shared this journey with anyone. I was just studying and researching and finding out things, but I was on my own. The other possibility that you have is to learn how storytelling can help you achieve communication excellence, transform how you communicate, how others see you, and avoid career stagnation. And today I'm looking for you, and specifically, I'm looking for somebody who is high achieving, who wants to do the work, and wants to invest in their communication skills. So, who here wants to invest in their communication skills? Because there is an opportunity today, and I have condensed 2 decades of work into one terrific training program. I launched the last training program 10 years ago today. So, and for 10 years, I haven't had any training program out. Something has convinced me to start again because in those 10 years, I've taught so many people, and we are talking in the tens of thousands of people at this point, that I know exactly what you need to hear to become a fluent communicator. So, let me introduce you to Telling Power. Now, Telling Power, in short, is a program made of three terrific components. The first one is the best communication skills course you will ever find. All of the information, everything done in short videos, everything easy to comprehend, because I not only now know exactly everything about storytelling, but I also know what resonates with people and what doesn't. Okay? So I've tested out all the different ways I can explain all the different concepts, and you find the best version in this course. And then I'm offering 1 year of live group coaching. And I'll tell you in a second about the power of this group coaching. It's just stunning. And finally, everything comes together in a private community where you have constant access to other members that are on a transformational journey, and you are in this transformational journey with them, and you can tap into their knowledge, but you can also tap into the knowledge of the other coaches. Is simply a terrific place. Let me talk about the single components. So it's the most advanced communication skills course. The idea is to get you to know exactly what I need to know in what you need to know in the shortest possible time. So it's made of short lessons. It's full of examples because you don't want to learn the theory. You just want the examples. You can learn at your own pace. And once you join, you have lifetime access to all of the course material. Now, the outcomes of the course are I help you to get out of your head, to become a masterful storyteller, to become an eloquent presenter, and to work on having a charismatic stage presence. Now, this is already something terrific, but wait for what's coming next. Now, the group coaching is something extraordinary. If you haven't experienced it, I really want to invite you to try it out, to try out the experience that happens in a group coaching session where there's multiple people and they're all helping each other towards a goal that is connected to storytelling. So it's a goal of change, of transformation. Maybe it's a transformation that happens within. Maybe it's a transformation that happens in society or in their job, in their company. And what I'm offering you is the possibility of joining these calls for 1 year long. And you also, at any time, and you can access the recordings of these calls, and you have lifetime access also of the recordings of these calls. The group coaching calls happen in different time zones so that they're convenient for any sort of time zone, and they last as long and or they are as short as you need. You can just jump in to ask your question and quickly jump out, or you can stay on, and these last from 2 hours on. And you bring your own agenda. So whatever is on your mind, whatever you're struggling with, is the subject of the group coaching session. Let me spend another second on this. In the past years, I've studied from teaching, okay, because that's what they teach us at university. They tell us information needs to be taught. And then I went on to understanding that people need workshops. They need to do to understand. And then 3 years ago, I realized that there is an even better way to workshop, that is coaching. And I have had so much success with coaching and established so many wonderful relationships, as some that I have with people that are right on this call. And the transformational opportunity of coaching are limitless, are literally endless. And we think of coaching as a one-on-one thing, and it's very powerful one-on-one. But imagine a safe space. Imagine a safe space where everybody is striving towards similar goals and where helping somebody else is even better than being helped yourself. Okay? That sometimes when you lift somebody up, it feels so much better than when somebody lifts you up. This is the power of group coaching. Tom is nodding because he's all the time in the coaching calls, and he knows it's hard to explain. And this is why, and this is connected with the next thing that I want to tell you. You have to try it. Okay, I'm adamant about this. You have to try it, and I have a way for you to try it risk-free, so that you don't have to um, put anything on the line, and you can still see, does this transformational experience work for me? And if it does, you can stay on. Let me explain this in a second. I just want to tell you about the private community. Sometimes this is sort of confusing. Imagine a Facebook, but nice. Okay, imagine a Facebook, but cohesive, with people that just want to help each other. Imagine that we're all there together towards the same goal, and there's no advertising. Okay, this is the community that we're creating. It has a network effect. And so the more it grows, the more it becomes useful. The more people join this program, the better the program begins. This is one of the beauties of network effects. And it's sort of the opposite. If it was one-on-one coaching, if it becomes more crowded, you would think, oh, I'm losing the benefit. It's less one-on-one. You know, my personal trainer is training also other people. It doesn't work that way with these programs, and the online community is a great demonstration of that. And what I wanted to tell you is that there's no way to know if Telling Power is for you or not if you don't try it. Especially because I know you love the certainty, the security of having a library of content, and it's an ever-growing library of content because every coaching call is more content that is being created. But the change happens in the coaching calls. Even just listening to the coaching calls, you don't even have to participate in the coaching call. You don't have to say a word. But even just listening to the coaching call is deeply transformational. And this is why I'm not offering you 1 month, that is legal in Germany, by the way. So 1 month of money back guarantee. I'm not offering you 2 months. I'm offering you 3 months of money back guarantee because I am sure that you'll find this useful. But in the remote case that you say, no, this is really not for me, I'm not getting the advantage, I'm very happy to refund you completely, so that this is an experience where you can, in 3 months, go through all the courses, go through all the recordings, participate in 12 coaching calls, and still pay zero. Okay, so I think this is the only rational decision about this program, is to join and then decide and say, okay, no, that's not what I was expecting. And a short email to me, I will ask you why, but the answer is not one of those, I'm trying to cancel Sky or anything like that, or cable. You will get immediately a full refund from me, and no problem, no hurdles, no anything of that sort. Okay, there's more. There's bonuses. There are assignments. You can, following the course, you can also participate, and you can also join me in creating content. And whenever you create this content, whenever you do the exercises and the assignments, there's going to be coaches that are checking the assignments for you, giving you feedback. And so this is something that is as close as working one-on-one with us. And then there is a safe rehearsal space at your disposal. If you need to test out a presentation in a private space with other members and with coaches, we are very happy to set that up weekly or bi-weekly, where you have a space for a short presentation, and then you ask the room whatever you want. Do you want feedback? Do you want feedback on what you said? Do you want feedback on how you said it? You decide what you get from this rehearsal space. And again, it's cohesive, it's friendly, it's a really nice atmosphere, the one that is being created there. And finally, you have certification, because signaling to others, and especially in your company, signaling to others that you have this um, you had this idea to improve your skills is super powerful. And this is how a certificate looks like, and you can share it on LinkedIn. And it's something that I think it's sort of becoming a trend on LinkedIn, but in general, it's such a positive signal to your peers, to your community, and to your employers that I would try to get a certificate a year if I were you, if I'm trying to advance my career. So telling power is for anybody who's in a moment where they are changing careers. They invested a lot in knowing how to do what they do, but not as much in communicating what they do. They have the feeling they don't fit in. They have to change things, and they need to speak up. What I introduce you to is the most advanced communication skills course. You'll have lifetime access, 1 year of weekly group coaching calls, plus the recording. Again, you'll have lifetime access of the recordings. You'll have the private community, the assignments and the review of the assignments, a safe rehearsal space, again, for 1 year included, and the certification. And there's one way to join, and that is going to tellingpower.com/join. You'll have a link in a second in the chat. And my invitation is to go right now. Just take a second right now. You will go inside my calendar and you will book a 45-minute free assessment. Now, this assessment call is not about selling Telling Power, is about your career, where you stand, where you want to go, and what are your communication skills right now. I'm looking for a very specific type of person to join this program. I think if you're in my community, you are already that type of person, but I want to get to know you before I introduce you to the rest of the group. My slots are getting booked out all the time, so I really invite you to take the opportunity right now, immediately, to join Telling Power. There's a few other things I want to tell you about Telling Power, and then we'll go into Q&A. But please start writing your questions in the chat. I'm really curious about those. So this is what happens to people that are working with me. So this is the client from a bank. What she says: I got invited to this panel, very happy with the result. And then this is actually a university professor. I don't want to reveal so much more because it's actually a famous university professor. And she says the pitch was successful. She was in front of a grant committee and the pitch was successful. This is a client in corporate, in an insurance, and they had a really high stakes, stressful presentation, and it became fun. And finally, this is from LinkedIn. This is from a client a few months after finishing working together on communication skills. They got promoted to vice president. I think this is the best testimonial ever. And so if you have social anxiety, imposter syndrome, if you're getting too emotional, if you're fearing public speaking, if you have issues with how you speak, maybe you're worried about your accent or speech patterns, or just if you're shy or out of place, this is a great program for you. It's my condensed version of everything I know versus your research. Like, for instance, this is the brilliant slidology from Nancy Duarte. This is a terrific book on how to create slides and how to create really engaging presentations. And I would definitely suggest it, but I don't suggest that you go on and go through the whole bibliography. I really suggest that you take the offer today and check out the availability and go through the communication assessment. Again, you have 90 days after that. You have 90 days after the first time you join the program to decide if you want to stay or if you want your money back. So you've invested an hour now. Is it worth 45 minutes of your time to continue and to continue this journey and to actually make it happen? Because it happens to me. I watch a lot of stuff on the internet, but then I don't take action, and so I forget. Instead, this is your opportunity to take action. This is one of the first testimonials that we have. This is from Paula in the community. She says, you're creating a great product and a great community, and she loves the expertise of the coaches, the real experiences, the friendly atmosphere, the authenticity, and the high quality feedback. And she's really on a journey of change. She changed from corporate to being a freelancer, and she changed from dealing with luxury in hospitality to dealing with wellness in as a freelancer. And so a complete life changing journey, and Telling Power is helping her along the way. And I asked her, would you recommend Telling Power? And she says, yes, it's useful for anybody who needs to learn how to present, to clarify what to present, how to talk, and how to sell. So I invite you to join now. These programs have this tendency, the more they fill in, the more the price raises. And so if you join now, you'll have the lowest price possible. The way to join is through this link, tellingpower.com/join. We will have a really nice friendly call. It's not a sales call. It's not spammy. It's not pushy. We just want to assess how you fit in the program and if you're going to have a benefit, because there's also a lot of work that you will do inside this program. So I hope you enjoyed this training. This is how the booking looks like. So whenever you click on the link, you will end up on a calendar that looks like this, and you will be able to book one of the calls. I really hope you enjoyed the training. Don't let it stay theory. Invest the time right now to make this business storytelling journey an actual journey in your life. And I wonder what you will do with all those skills, with your new communication superpowers. Will you change jobs? Will you change careers? There's a lot of participants that are changing careers. Are you going to get more clients, or are you going to become a bigger, a better leader? This was my presentation, and I would love to jump into the Q&A part, have a sip of water, and ask you if you have any questions about the program and about storytelling in general. I'm very, very happy to take questions for however long you wish. So how long is the program? Usually these programs last from 1 to 3 years. And actually, since now the cream of the crop is here, let me extend a little bit of a further special offer. Let's start a timer. If you book the call in the next 60 minutes, you will have access for the lifetime of the program. Now, these programs normally last between 1 and 3 years. And if you book the call in the next 60 minutes, I will give you access for the whole, let's say, 3 years of the program. I don't know exactly how long it will last. I guarantee you 1 year of group coaching calls, 1 year of rehearsal calls, 1 year of direct help through the community. And so, whatever kind of help we can give in this good Facebook that we created, that is going to be available to you. Does that answer the question? Yeah, that's thanks, Tom. That's the summary of what is included. I know it's complicated, it's a lot of stuff. That's why I think it's really important to have it as a summary there. So how much time do we invest on a weekly basis? I would say that on average you might invest 1 hour a week. And you can decide to divide this 1 hour a week however you wish. And so, for instance, you might watch a couple of videos, like the videos are on average 3 minutes, and then watch 40 minutes of a recorded coaching call, or even join for 1 hour of one of the live coaching calls. So I would say this is the commitment. And I think the power of a program like this is that it sort of lives with you. Let's say that in the next 3 months there's no big communication challenges. You might want to study the theory now. And then let's say that in September you have conference after conference and after conference. Then you will want to join more calls and get this change happening for you. And then later on, you might think, I got what I needed from the calls, but every once in a while you want a sounding board. And so you might join the rehearsal calls and check out and see how does my program, how does my presentation resonate with this audience? Will they understand it? How will they enjoy it? And so you have all of these possibilities. And there is there is another way of doing things, that is the cohort. You enter today, and in the path of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you will get your, let's say, degree in telling power. I've chosen another way because I know that we are all busy, we all have challenging jobs, and I want everybody to be free to go at their own pace and to go through the program how they wish. So, in short, is, let's say, 1 hour, 1 hour a week, but the long answer is actually when you need it. And it's also, in terms of the course, there's going to be a lot of material. There is already a lot of material, and there's going to be so much more material as we record all the coaching calls. But it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Your time is precious, and I don't want you to waste your time. And I want you to have just the best possible distilled version of the knowledge that you actually need. I'm happy that you're starting to take my offer, and I see the calendar is starting to fill. So if anybody of you are on the fence, I would say now is the time to book the call, especially because if you book the call right now, like some of your colleagues are doing, then you will have this special lifetime access. Not only lifetime access to all the material that is already included, but you will have access to the coaching calls for the lifetime of the program. Now, the lifetime of the program is something that I cannot predict. 1 year is guaranteed. I think that this program will go on for at least 2 years from what I can see right now. And once you're in, you will realize the value. And if you don't realize the value, then maybe you can take advantage of the guarantee, because I just want happy community members. I want happy customers in telling power. We can go on with the Q&A if you have other questions. Yes, Martin, the price. That is yeah, the price indication. This is something that I do on the assessment call. And there is a reason. It's very hard to judge the value of an online program without having talked about your specific goals. And I want to put it in the context of the path that you're going to take. And so I won't give you a price indication. I think it's less than what you think, because imagine that usually this price that I'm offering right now is the price of just a course. And instead you get a course, a community, and the coaching calls, plus the assignments, plus the bonuses, and so on. I see your hand is raised, Tom. You can unmute yourself anytime if you wish. Thanks, thanks for that. Thanks for stressing this. This helping somebody is the most empowering thing ever. Empowering people is the most empowering thing ever. And as a coach, I get to do this all day, and I'm sort of a junkie for that. I'm Matteo, and I'm a coach. And even as a member, looking at another person doing a journey that is similar to the journey that you wanna do, it's incredibly empowering. And this is something that everybody deserves to experience in a supportive, safe environment. And I think you've heard it here first. In a few years, you won't be able to go anywhere without people raving about this or that group coaching program, because this is not going away. This is going to be the biggest trend, is not just courses, but courses that provide this group coaching component. And I can tell you, because I am already into 2 different programs. I'm talking about high ticket programs, not something like Telling Power, but very, very expensive group coaching slash mastermind programs. And I see the impact that they have in my life. They're on specific topics that don't concern storytelling, so it would be off topic for me to describe what they are. But I saw the power of seeing what other people are struggling with and helping them. And that's what convinced me. So if you look on the internet, you can find an article where I swear that I will never create another online course. Okay? If you go on the internet, and I wrote it, and I still believe in that article, and I haven't put it offline. But then I discovered that there is the possibility of connecting the dots, of having one thing with the other. And then I realized, yes, it's worth it to have an online course because it connects people, because it brings people together. And with the coaching approach, which is just asking you the right questions. And by the way, if anybody wants to have an impromptu group coaching session, we can actually transition into that. If there's anybody who has something on their mind, and it would be the best demonstration of actually what we do at Telling Power, is just to transition this Q&A into a group coaching session. For that, I would ask you to switch on your cameras again. And if you like, if anybody has something on their minds that they would like to share and some concern with their communication, I'm free. I'm available. We're already live, so there's no harm in transitioning into that. Let me know what you think. Oh, I forgot to thank Miriam, who was heading out. Thanks, Tom, for taking care of that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think Irina will anyway check the recording. So let's give her an answer on that. And yeah, Anshul, if you have other questions, do let us know, and we'll just reply within the next 8 minutes. But on her question, I think it's confidence is always intertwined with how we perceive ourselves, what is in general our posture in terms of confidence, and the topic and the audience. And there is no, it's like a piece of fabric. I cannot pull one thread without pulling the others and undoing the whole shirt. And what I usually do is I make sure that you develop your confidence in the message, because that is going to be instrumental in strengthening all of the other fibers. Because once I know that my message is really strong, then I can address what? The resistance of the audience. Nobody wants to get changed, and I need to change them. How? Irina has to sell a product every day on the phone. She doesn't do the 45-minute assessment that I offer. She does an SEO assessment. And in this SEO assessment, she has to present a complex product. And for sure, if you don't feel 100% confident about your complex product, there's no way of winning there. Does anybody else have thoughts about this? Anybody feels that, for instance, their confidence comes from another place or could come from another place? All right, I think it's time to end our Q&A. So the offer still stands. So if you, like your colleagues are already doing, if you're booking your call right now, there's going to be no limit to your participation to any of the live components, and the components that are not live are already unlimited for everyone. I just want to remind you, storytelling is something that hasn't changed in the past 15, 20, 25,000 years. And it's here to stay. It's not the moment you decide to grasp it and to make it your own is the moment people will notice you, people will start calling you to give presentations, will invite you to the stage, they will see you inside your company, they will give you promotions. And there's two ways of doing this. One way is to study yourself and to find out. I would strongly suggest not to start with business storytelling, but to start with the actual storytelling, as I was suggesting before. There's a few books that are absolutely terrific for that. It's a long journey. It's a journey I took. I enjoyed it a lot. I met really fun people. I invested a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's not something I would say, no, it's terrible. It's really great. It's very lonely because today you have the opportunity to join a program that is thought in order for you to learn in a safe environment surrounded by terrific people. Just today, I got a feedback from one of the participants of the call on Tuesday, and she said, I loved the session, and loved was capitalized. And at the end of the session, she also shared, I didn't expect this to be so good. which which sort of made me laugh. She had, without having bought the program, but she had no idea how good it was. And the fact that after the first call, she just said, "Oh, I need to join the next call. I'm sorry I can't," because she has her own meetup on the same at the same time. So uh, that was melting my heart, and I cannot wait to have you on the same journey. Thank you for making this webinar fun and insightful. If you have any other questions, you have my email, and I will send you in the next few days a reminder, a recording, and we'll keep this open just for a few days. We haven't decided yet when to close the sign up, but I think you will have time to book this call if you want all the perks in the next 39 minutes. But in general, the sign up for the program through this webinar will close in a few days, and I'll send you some reminders in your email. In the meantime, thank you so much. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you, Tom, for being such a fantastic co-host. Let me know what you thought of the session. It was lovely to have you. Have a great afternoon, a great rest of the day, a great morning, a great night if it's night, and see you soon. Take care. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Recording stopped. And the recording is stopped. Let's stop the live stream as well.